In today's video, we will be repotting Dendrobium Orchid Bicentennial Blue, plus a ton of life updates. All of this and more coming up at The Orchid Hut. Welcome back to The Orchid Hut. My name is Dana, and thank you for tuning in to this video for a Dendrobium Orchid repot. Now, this orchid actually needed to be repotted about 2 weeks ago, and I was going to film it for you then, but life got in the way, as it often does. So as I'm repotting this orchid today, I will be kind of explaining everything that's been going on in the last 2 weeks. It has truly been a roller coaster. But as we get started with the repot today, I wanted to point out the top of this pot because while this is about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks late, sort of, I think you can still see the point I would have been making in the video if I had made the video 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks ago. So there is new growth right here, and you know, of course, 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks ago it was smaller. And this particular dendrobium starts its new growth and its new root growth simultaneously. So you can see the little green root tip here on this longer root, and then from the base of the plant there are a couple of smaller roots with little green tips. Now, not all dendrobiums are this way. Some dendrobiums mature their canes a bit more and then put out roots. Some canes get completely mature and then roots are put out. So you sort of have to just get to know your particular dendrobium. But the idea here is that if a dendrobium needs to be repotted, it's a great time to tackle that task when the new roots are just emerging. Now, these roots are a little bit farther along than what I would like them to be, so I'm going to have to be rather gentle and careful with those root tips. Now, you might also be wondering why this orchid seems to be sort of so lopsided. It has fallen out of the pot within the last 2 or 3 months, and I tried to straighten it as best I could, but wasn't really successful, so it's lost some of its bark at the top of the pot. It has become crooked, and of course in the repot we will be correcting all of those less than desirable features. This one was bought on sale. You may see the tag on it still, $40. I did not pay $40 for this orchid. I think I may have paid $15. It had been marked down because it was almost out of bloom when I purchased it. However, I did see the bloom. When I purchased this orchid, it was a bit faded, but it was blue, leaning towards a bit of purple color, especially as the bloom was probably a bit mature and old at that point when I bought this orchid. So, great time to find orchids when they are just going out of bloom. They're often put on sale, and you can pick up a lot of great plants that way. Okay, so I have 2 pots here. I have a smaller one and a larger one. And I'm going to wait and see what the root system looks like after I clean this orchid up. You know, dendrobiums don't prefer to be overpotted. So right now I'm tending to lean towards the smaller pot, but we'll see, once we get the whole root system exposed. And for my media, I will be using the pre-made mix that I always use from Repot Me for my Dendrobium orchids. It is Dendrobium Imperial Orchid Mix. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump this out of the pot. And I have already pre-flamed and cleaned my cutters because I have a feeling we will be needing to do a little bit of a root trim. And here's the tag, Dendrobium Bicentennial Blue. Hopefully the camera can focus on that. And let's just see what's going on here. This was recently watered, so I'm expecting the bottom of the pot to be maybe a little bit wet. This one has been indoors waiting for its repot, so it has been spared the webworms. I put a community post out just the other day with the horrific case of webworms that we have had in the Southeast Texas area. Just destructive. I have never seen that in all of my 10 plus years of growing orchids outside. I just don't know. It feels like it has been the spring of, 7 plagues or something, between the destructive bugs, the mosquitoes, the weather, the high wind, the hail, the flooding, just everything has just made the spring very, very difficult for trying to grow orchids outdoors. So I'm hoping this summer, albeit as hot as it's going to be, because oh boy, it's already very hot. Hopefully this summer, at least, even though it's going to be hot, it will maybe be a little bit more calm. Okay, so let's have a look here. So a good bit of the root system dead. So, you can tell this part right here that is darker brown. I'm also feeling it. It has no substance to those roots. That part of the root system is gone. So after I give it a quick rinse at the sink, I will be trimming that part away. It does look like that root system is more attached to the oldest canes, which is what would be expected. The root system on this other side of the plant is white and still supporting the plant. So we'll be kind of giving that a good cleanup after we give it a rinse. Okay, let me get this mess a little bit cleaned up. I'm going to go to the sink for a quick rinse, and then I'll be back to do the root trim. Okay, so back from the sink with Dendrobium Bicentennial Blue. A couple of hours have passed since I filmed the first segments of this video, so the lighting might look a little bit different. I went outside and I sprayed all of my Vanda roots with water, just water mist, and picked a few more webworms off of some orchids, although they do look like they're slowing down, so that's the good news. This particular orchid now is dry. After rinsing it, I did spray it with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, simply because it was still in the grower's pot. And we're going to start trimming the dead roots away now. And I will tell you my stories from the last 2 weeks, which have been extremely stressful. So we had a new roof put on the house. Now, when that experience goes well, it's still a stressful experience. You have, a crew of workers on your roof with pitchforks scraping away the old roof, and then of course for a day and a half or longer you're listening to the new roof being pounded on and people going up and down ladders and whatnot, and you can't get in your driveway, and nails and staples are everywhere, and shrubs are being broken just from the destruction of the whole experience. Well, okay, that's, when it goes well. Well, we had rework that had to be done. The experience was not a positive one, unfortunately. It's turned out that it's okay. Everything was corrected and fixed, but it's just having to go back and have things redone, which just adds to the entire, experience being more negative than what it needed to be. So that was one thing that was going on. My dad is on hospice. He has advanced Parkinson's. That is a journey that you just cannot even possibly begin to understand unless you have been around somebody who is experiencing it. Difficult. He just needs extra daily care, even though he's living in a facility. So that's taking up some of my time. And then simultaneously with the roof and already having to take care of my dad, my husband's father fell in the backyard, face down in the grass, was laying in, the backyard exposed to the sun for 30 to 45 minutes, ended up with heat stroke, going to the emergency room once someone found him, and now we're trying to kind of like recover from that whole episode. He's doing a bit better today. This was like 3 days ago that he fell. But again, you know, such a serious situation for someone who is elderly, you know, being in the heat, much less falling and then not being able to get up and get help was just a tragic thing that happened. So all of this going on at the same time sort of prohibits orchid videos from being made. All right, so let's kind of carry on here. We're going to hope for positive days in the future. All right, so old root system trimmed away. Now you can tell that that old root system was definitely attached to these older canes here, which, you know, this one in particular can probably be just broken away. Yes, there is some nutrients, moisture, etc. in this tiny little cane, but it was very dry at the connection point. This one is a bit more attached, so I will leave it. All right, so let me get rid of this old set of roots here. And I have decided, of course, to go with the small pot. The other pot would just be far too large and would sort of overwhelm this root system. Now, when I was rinsing this, I was extremely careful at the sink not to tinker with those little tiny root tips. I'm going to be doing the same thing as I'm working with the bark here. I'm going to put a bit in the bottom. Let's kind of check the height here. Okay, now that's too much. Okay, that's looking a bit better. I can always pull up a little bit. Now, Dendrobium root tips are not quite as sensitive as, say, especially certain Cattleya root tips. However, you still want to be gentle with them. Okay, now what I'm going to do to get this media to fall down a bit is I'm going to give this a tap. And now what I can tell is that the base of the plant is a little bit low. So I'm going to pull up just a tiny bit, tap again. And now the overall plant is at a better height than in the pot. And I think I'm going to be keeping this one since it's not damaged from those horrific webworms. I think I will keep this one under the grow lights for a bit until it has an opportunity to sort of establish itself in this pot with this new cane growth right here. Unfortunately, some of my dendrobiums with new cane growth that are outdoors were a bit nipped on the end from the worms. It just is the most frustrating thing. And then gently, I'm going to press down just at the edges because the root system on this dendrobium is not large. You know, it is a tiny bit more unstable in the pot, but not too bad. And I think if this one is indoors under the grow lights, I really don't need a stake. I think it will be just fine like that. All right, putting the tag back. I will give this a good water at the sink, and we will call this one accomplished. Okay, if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up. The notifications bell will let you know when I've posted something new, And don't forget that subscribe button, which is coming up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Thank you all so much for watching, and talk to you next time.